Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Steve.
I'm Lindsay.
And today we're going to be reacting to the UK court system. We actually have two short videos here. One is about the Magistrates Court, and the other is the Crown Court. This would be interesting because I don't really understand what either of those terms mean. Do you?
No.
I'm guessing that the Crown Court is probably maybe for more severe cases or something, just because it's the Crown.
A higher.
Yeah, I'm thinking that might be what we're seeing here. The magistrate might be the lower court and the Crown might be the higher court, but we don't really have these terms here. We have district courts, we have superior courts, we have obviously the Supreme Court of the state and the
What is their
federal
version of the Supreme Court?
I don't know. I don't think it's the Crown Court.
Okay.
I don't think it is. Let us know in the comments, guys. Maybe we'll learn that here. Do you have any idea what either of these courts are, though, before we get started?
No.
Yeah, I don't.
I mean, to be honest, I really don't even know our court system. So.
Yeah, I actually just took Sophia into our courthouse maybe 2 weeks ago because we've been living here for quite a while. We've never been in the courthouse, and Sophia, every time we walked past there, she was always wanting to go in, and so we finally did. And she thought that was really, really interesting. Anyways, guys, enough rambling from us. Go ahead and dive in here and check out first the Magistrates Court, and then second the Crown Court. All right, there's 3 judges. Is that what we're looking at?
We are the magistrates. We hear all the evidence in the case and decide whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty. It's for the prosecution to prove their case beyond all reasonable doubt, otherwise we will dismiss it. Traditionally, there are 3 magistrates. I am the chair and will decide the case with my 2 colleagues. If my 2 colleagues can't agree, I will have the deciding vote. Occasionally, we may have to sit as a pair and then decide the case between us. Although we've had some training, we are not legal professionals and we are not paid.
Wait, what? So
I'm confused. So it's like a mix between judge and jury.
It's a mix between judge and, yeah, I guess I was going to say civilians, but yeah, it's like, that's interesting. So these aren't technically judges in the sense that we would imagine a judge being. These are like people that aren't getting paid. Didn't they say they aren't getting paid?
I didn't hear that part. But
I did.
But I heard they have no professional legal training.
So they are just like you and I.
Scary, actually, to be honest.
I think it's less scary.
You think?
Yeah, because here's the thing. If these are more like, kind of like.
But there's only 3 of them.
Yeah, but that's the point. Instead of one judge handing down a verdict, it's 3 of them conversing among each other. I know, but
I'm saying, like, opposed to our jury system where we have, like, a big, like, 12.
Right, but here's the thing. If you were to go and get a traffic violation, you wouldn't be in front of a jury, generally speaking.
True.
You would go up there and present your case to the judge. Mm-hmm. So here you have 3 judges, technically.
I guess if you're talking about like routine, just everyday.
If that's what we believe that the magistrate court is the lower court, which I think it is. You can't.
I would hope like not a murder trial.
Yeah, I don't think this is a murder trial. I think this is more like a smaller things. I don't know if it's probably more than just traffic violations, but I still don't really know exactly all they have here. But yeah, that's wild.
Magistrates hear all summary offences within their jurisdiction. We can also hear triable either way offences where the defendant has agreed that this can be the case. If we believe that a trial is too serious, we can refer that case up to the Crown Court. Even after we've heard a case, we can refer that case to the Crown Court if we believe that our sentencing powers are not sufficient.
Okay. So now it's kind of coming into view now what this is. So basically, they can sentence, but only certain minor sentences. I don't know. Well, I guess we'll find that out, how much time or fines or whatever they can give. Mm-hmm. But they can their sentences can only be so far, it sounds like. So if it's something more severe, if they feel like the sentence probably might need to be more, they got to pass it up to the Crown Court, which means the Crown Court would be the higher court.
So my question is, do all cases start out here? And then
I don't know.
It's up to them to decide.
That would be interesting because I hope we find that out because the Crown Court, since it must be the higher court, I can't imagine would a murder charge actually here because
I don't think
because here's the thing, if it's limited, if the punishment is limited, right, you would think it would automatically just say, okay, we're going to pass by
instead of wasting the time,
right?
Yeah,
but I don't know.
And my other question is, do these, like, obviously this is 3 magistrates for this district or area,
Right.
do they always hear the cases, or are there groups of people that change out? Like,
Right. Are they the 3 magistrates for so and so county or
or
something
is it
like
just
that?
like a random process? I don't know.
And
like our
and
jury
yeah,
system.
do they continue? Yeah, right. Could 3 civilians, like you and me, for example, could we be called up to be a
They
magistrate?
don't have any professional.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm so curious about that, guys. Let us know in the comments, guys. I don't know if they're going to touch base on that, but like, since they don't have any legal training, does that mean just anybody can be a magistrate, or is there some sort of training that may not be just legal in nature
Right,
that they had to go
right.
through to be a magistrate?
I am the legal advisor to the justices, although you may still hear me referred to as the clerk of the court or the magistrate's clerk, and I am legally trained. My job is to ensure that everything runs properly and that all the proper procedures are followed.
Okay, so he
I
oversees
will ask the
everything.
defendant to enter a plea, and I will ask witnesses to identify themselves. I will advise the magistrates on legal matters, and I will ensure that only admissible evidence is put before the court.
So he isn't the prosecutor, right? I mean, we have, I think you said clerk of court. Our clerk of court handles all, generally speaking, from what I understand, the clerk of court here handles all the paperwork and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It
too.
does the filing of things and, so forth and so on. But
not transcriber, not transcription.
no,
but-
there's a different person that
Yeah.
does that in the courtroom here.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what that would be here, because I'm not sure if the clerk of court actually does that here. I know.
Well, we've got a judge that
Right.
oversees the proceeding.
Right, absolutely, and maybe that is what this position is kind of is an overseer of the process for the magistrates.
If a defendant is unrepresented, I will advise them to ensure they get a fair trial.
Hold on, that's like a public defender.
Yeah, it seems like he wears many hats.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So, do you guys also have what we have here in the States, where if everybody has a right to an attorney, period, right? So, if you can't afford one, you will have a public defender. What do you call
Appointed.
it? Appointed to you. Yeah.
The usher.
Yeah, sure.
Ursher?
I am the usher. I ensure that all witnesses have answered their summons. I'll fetch witnesses in when they're called and administer the oath or affirmation. When the witness is giving evidence, I will pass exhibits around the court. I can even fetch a glass of water for someone if they're thirsty.
Well, that's
You'll hear
different.
me say, all rise.
I'm the prosecuting solicitor and I present the prosecution case.
Okay. So, I was wondering if this guy had anything to do with the prosecution originally. And here's the prosecutor. Okay.
There are 3 things that I must prove to the satisfaction of the court. Firstly, that an offence has been committed. Secondly, that the defendant has committed the offence. And lastly, that all the evidence has been gathered in accordance with the correct evidence gathering procedures. If I fail to do any of those things, then the defendant is entitled to an acquittal. I will ask questions of prosecution witnesses to enable them to give evidence. I cannot ask leading questions or suggest answers. Obviously, I can only present evidence that has been gathered fairly. If there is a case to answer, and the defence call witnesses, then I can cross-examine those witnesses. Remember that prosecutors are only as good as the evidence they are given.
I'm the defence solicitor, and it's my role to protect the interests of my client.
Okay.
So they call lawyers or attorneys solicitors.
Yes, what it sounds like. So, let us know in the comments, but that is what it sounds like. What we would call a lawyer would be called a solicitor.
Or a defense attorney, or
Yeah, I don't know. So, all right. So, this guy, the clerk, he will advise the client
if
basically
there is no defense.
only if there is no solicitor. I guess that's what I'm getting.
I can challenge evidence that has not been gathered fairly in accordance with the Police and Criminal Evidence Act of 1984 and have that evidence excluded if so required. If you've been fair, thorough, exercised your powers correctly, and can account adequately for all your actions, then there should be little for me to challenge. Remember, it's not for the defence to win the case, but for the prosecution to lose it.
Okay. The same as here.
Like innocent until proven guilty.
Innocent until proven guilty.
It might be different in like a higher court with a longer trial, but the person, what would it be, the defense? Like the person on trial? What?
He would be the defendant, I guess.
Defendant.
That's what we'd
Okay.
call it here.
Well, they have to stand. Did you see that?
No.
She had to, well, whoever's up there stands.
That was the defendant in this case? The whole time?
It looked like it. I mean, these were short
Yeah,
clips,
maybe
but
if this is...
like a smaller...
Yeah, maybe it doesn't take that long. I don't know, but do they have to stand the entire time? You know what? After we get done with the Crown Court video in just a second, after that, I want to go and briefly see if we can see like what fines they can give out and stuff.
It's really interesting because it's quite different from ours.
Yeah, I've already noticed quite a bit of difference just in the Magistrates Court. I can only imagine the Crown Court's probably going to be the same, quite different.
I am the judge, and it's my job to interpret and uphold the law.
All
Do
right,
they wear wigs?
right off the bat, I noticed that it looks like he has a wig. He has to have a wig on, right?
What is that about? I want to know.
That is something that I've actually had in my head for some reason for quite some time now. Anytime I've I don't even know where I've seen some kind of court thing from the UK, but I picture
I
wigs.
wasn't from the UK. I was thinking remember our wig party?
Well, way back when, probably because our system came from their
Right,
system.
right.
And so for whatever reason, they're wearing wigs in the UK. We, in our court system, long ago, we also, I guess, had wigs.
What? I want to know why. I
Yeah.
want to know what that's about.
I hope they answer that here, guys. If they don't answer that here, please let us know in the comments what the wigs are about, because we don't have that here, so
Right.
I have no idea.
Other people present during a trial at the Crown Court are the prosecution barrister and the defence barrister.
Okay, they're wearing wigs
Usually
too.
with solicitors behind them
Okay,
taking
well-
notes. And the jury.
Okay.
The defendant
All right.
Okay, so there is a judge and a jury for higher level cases.
Okay, so it looks like they also have 6 jury members, which we also have.
6 jury members.
I mean, 12 jury members. Yeah.
will sit in the dock and be present during the trial.
Wait.
The
It
defendant is
at
way
my
back there?
discretion whether or not there is a public gallery.
Okay, so they can have a public gallery, it sounds like, just like we do for certain trials. But you did notice that the defendant was not sitting with his defense attorney or whatever. He was sitting by himself in a little cubby. That's why, because here you would sit with your defense attorney so
And
you could
can,
discuss things.
talk.
While,
Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. I mean, I would think it would be good for you.
but I guess a good defense solicitor may already know everything there is to know to speak up on the defense's behalf. So he doesn't necessarily need to talk to the defendant during court, and maybe they go into recess or something. And
I don't know. That's really interesting to me.
yeah,
I'm sure it's not a big deal to you guys, but I just wonder. It feels like it takes the focus off the person who committed the crime.
because he's like way back in the back. Yeah,
To me.
a little bit, yeah. But then again, he is the very person this entire trial is about, and so he sits right there by himself in the center place in the back where everybody knows exactly where
Like
he's
the
at.
kid in school who got in trouble and they were like,
Right. I just realized something. When you look at our trials we have here, you sometimes can't tell who the defendant is because he's also got a suit on. He looks just
it
like.
looks like he's got a suit on here.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is he's sitting with everybody else. So you can't actually tell who he is unless you know who he is.
Well, they point them out like they have them.
I mean,
at the beginning of the trial.
what I'm getting at, he is mixed in with everybody else, dressed the same as
Like
everybody else.
equal, so to
like
speak.
equal. This person is pulled back from everybody else.
That's true.
And-
And in your mind, psychologically, that helps separate them, I think, for what they've done.
Maybe so.
Where was the witness stand for this courtroom? Was it up front?
I think it was that. Well, I don't want to go back too far. Let's see. Let's go right here. There's the usher.
Would a witness be up there by the judge?
That's got to be where the witness would be, right here.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
that's a little less intimidating, I feel like, than for our court system, where you have to sit up beside the judge, stare out, have the person staring at you. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, this to me would be a little less intimidating for a witness.
Maybe that's the point of that. Okay.
After the jury has been sworn in, I address them directly. I inform them that it is for them to decide if the evidence they are going to hear proves the defendant's guilt. I also inform them that it is their job to consider the evidence, not the law, and that I will guide them if necessary on points of law.
I am the next person to address the jury. I introduce myself and explain that I appear on behalf of the prosecution in this case, and my learned friend, who I name, appears on behalf of the defense. I then outline the prosecution case, explaining each offense and the evidence the jury will hear in proving this. I will state that it is the prosecution's responsibility to prove beyond any reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty of the offense that they are before the court for. I will introduce the first prosecution witness. I will then ask a series of questions with regards to the evidence they have given in a statement to the police.
You know, this just reminds me what we've talked about quite a bit when we've seen trials and stuff go on. It is worse always to have someone who is innocent be convicted than a guilty person be let free.
Right. And as hard as that is to say,
but
like,
it's true.
in a personal scenario, like,
right? But what I'm getting at there is, I think in order to convict someone, there needs to be absolute 100% proof. And I've seen court cases here in America
that's
where
how it's supposed to be,
right, where I followed them completely, and they'll convict them of guilt, and it's like on very circumstantial evidence, and I'm like, man, that wouldn't be me. You're going to have to 100% prove to me this person did it, because it is
no matter how much you think they did or like want them to be guilty.
Because I would never want to have an innocent person, even if he looked guilty. I don't want an innocent person to be convicted.
That'd be horrible.
Because that is so much worse than the other way around. Because you're taking this innocent person away from his family, and I just can't imagine how horrible that would be.
Though with higher profile cases where the family of the person that was affected wants justice.
Oh,
more than
absolutely.
anything. But you have to be careful about really getting it right, though.
Right. You got to get it right. You have to.
This is known as examination in chief. Upon completion of this, the defense may ask the witness a series of questions. This is known as cross-examination. Upon completion of the cross-examination, I may be given the opportunity to ask a further series of questions to the witness. This is known as re-examination. I will continue to call witnesses until all the witnesses have been called to the stand. I will announce to the court that this is the case for the prosecution.
At this point in the case, I may make an application of no case to answer to the judge, stating that the prosecution has not raised sufficient evidence to prove that the defendant has committed the alleged offence. If he finds in favour of my application, he will instruct the jury to find the defendant not guilty, and then he will release the defendant.
Wow.
This is an acquittal.
Wait, so there's a solicitor and there's a barrister.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the solicitor in the Magistrates Court.
Right, so a barrister must be a higher...
Is a barrister basically like a higher level attorney? Or are they simply the same thing, just called different things? Like the term lawyer and attorney is here, that are kind of interchangeable in a way.
The judge considers the prosecution has raised enough evidence, then I will continue with my case. As with the prosecution barrister, I will introduce the witnesses. However, at this time, they will be given evidence for the defence. This will follow in the same procedure of examination in chief, cross-examination, and then re-examination. At the end, I will declare that was the case for the defence.
I then stand and give what is called my closing speech, where I outline the prosecution.
What do you say, closing statement?
And try to persuade the jury that the defendant is in fact guilty.
I then stand and give my closing speech, outlining the defence's case and trying to persuade the jury that the defendant is not guilty.
I will then sum up all the evidence. I will direct the jury on the legal issues and what the prosecution has to prove if they are to find the defendant guilty. I will give them the legal options available, reminding them that if they are not sure, they must find the defendant not guilty.
Yeah, absolutely.
We then retire to make our decision. Once a decision has been reached, we return, and as foreperson of the jury, I announce the jury's verdict. If found not guilty, the defendant is released.
If the defendant is found guilty, I will make a statement in mitigation to the judge. The judge will take this statement into account before sentencing.
I thank the jury for the service that they have provided. If the defendant is found not guilty, I will release the jury from the court. If the defendant is found guilty, I will move to sentence him in a straightforward case. It is likely in that instance that the jury will remain in court. I may, however, postpone sentencing where other factors are to be considered. This can be particularly appropriate where there have been contentious issues or where the defendant's background is likely to have a significant impact on the sentence I pass.
All right.
This is really interesting to me.
That is really
Because the
interesting.
way the courtroom was set up is very different than ours. I mean, sort of. But the main difference I noticed, like I said, is the defendant is in the back, almost like outside of the process.
Our court system started with the court system there.
Right.
So it makes a lot of sense that we'd still do a lot of the same things, but definitely notice quite a few differences here versus where you guys are. And again, they didn't cover what the wigs are about. I don't understand the wigs. I mean, maybe the only thing I can imagine is it's just ceremonial, is something they've done forever for some reason, but why would that have started?
Right.
But two, it could be to basically in the court, maybe it brings attention to the most important pieces of the case, like the prosecution, the defense, and the judge here. Like those are the
they stand out.
What is the difference between a barrister and a solicitor? Let us know in the comments, guys. But
probably like the lead.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe
versus the assistant or.
And also, again, guys, let us know what's up with the wigs. We don't know what that is, but let's go ahead and check out a few little pieces of like what the fines are and things with magistrate versus crown and stuff. All right, guys. So this is Magistrates Court. All criminal cases start in a Magistrates Court.
So no matter what they are, no matter how high the crime.
I guess so. Which is interesting because you would think something like murder would go ahead and go to the crown court, but let us know why would that be the case. Since the person is not guilty yet, maybe the magistrate court can look at the evidence and say, this shouldn't be brought to trial. And they dismiss it right off the bat. Maybe that's what that's about.
Yeah, maybe.
So every case has an opportunity to be dismissed before they even go to trial.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be what that's about. Cases are heard by either 2 or 3 magistrates, district judge. Oh, so they can be heard by a district judge, okay? So they deal with motoring offenses, minor criminal damage, common assault, okay. It can also deal with some of more serious offenses such as burglary and drug offenses. These are called either way offenses and can be heard either in a magistrate's court or a crown court. I wonder who decides that. If you're released on bail, you might have to follow strict conditions such as keeping away from certain people or places, staying indoors, and wearing a tag. If you don't attend court after being granted bail, you can be put in prison.
So a tag would be like our ankle bracelet.
Yeah, I guess that's what that is, yeah. Sentences a magistrate court can give. Okay, this is what I want to see. Up to 6 months in prison or up to 12 months in total for more than one offense. A fine. Community sentence, like doing unpaid work in the community. We'd call that community service. A ban, for example, from driving or keeping an animal. Oh, okay. All right, that makes sense. So
nothing too like crazy.
Up to a year in prison max. So these would have to be fairly minor, probably not really felonies. I'm guessing. Crown court normally has a jury which decides if you're guilty or not. The verdict has a judge who decides what punishment or sentence you get. Your solicitor, if you have one, can explain what happens in court. The judge and court staff will also give instructions about the trial. Okay. Okay, deals with the everything that's not minor.
Serious,
Yeah. Crown Court can give a range of sentences, including community sentences and prison sentences, including life sentences. Let us know in the comments, guys. Do you guys have capital punishment in the UK? I'm guessing you don't.
Probably not.
Because I remember hearing something about that a while back. But we would like to learn about more of your criminal justice system. So if you have any ideas of what we should check out, because honestly, we don't know the differences in the way you do things and whatnot. So I'm sure there's a lot more to this that we don't understand. I know, for example, that there is a youth court. I don't think that the
like, would that be our juvenile?
Yeah, that would be our juvenile court, which I'm guessing that's probably pretty similar to a combination of both of these. I'm guessing the juvenile court would do both minor and major stuff, but for juvenile. So I think it's probably similar to the processes we just saw here. But I would love to know more about, for example, do you have capital punishment, which I don't think you do? And just, what else is there to the criminal justice system?
So is the Crown Court the highest level?
Oh yeah, that's another thing.
Here we have the Supreme Court, which is even above.
There has to be a Supreme Court of some sort. What is it called? I don't know, right? But there has to be something above the Crown Court, I'm guessing. I'm thinking the Crown Court, based off of what we just saw, is similar to our, Superior Court. The District Court would be where people go in, generally speaking, to do, fines for, they got a speeding ticket or something like that. And then Superior Court is where you generally go if you had some sort of, worse offense, some sort of criminal offense. Although some criminal offenses, I think, do take place in District Court, but they're minor. So I think that is the difference here. I think Crown Court is our Superior Court and Magistrates Court is our District Court. But our District Court still also has one judge
I was going to say
instead
it's
of
a
the
similar
three.
setup as
But
Superior.
yeah, guys, let us know in the comments, what else should we look into? What do you think we'd find interesting about your criminal justice system in general? We'd love to learn more about this topic. I definitely find this type of thing fascinating. I think you found this more fascinating than you thought you would.
Yeah, I was kind of like, oh, this is going to be kind of boring. But yeah, I don't know why, because I like true crime stuff and all that. So yeah.
But guys, this was interesting. Thank you so much for stopping by. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow us on our journey to discover everything about the UK and Ireland. Till next time, guys. Peace.
Bye.